Well, good morning. Again, another episode of Yes Way Jose. And of course, it's me, Jose.
The Jose.
You know what? That could be good. That could be kind of fun. The Jose.
He started out in the last episode, the Jose. We were like, the Jose?
Well, we were actually talking about I am, and meaning there's only one I am. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of a thing that Eli didn't catch up on, but we had to break it down for him. We put in smaller syllables.
No. He started talking, and it sounded like I am, and I am, and we were like,
do not
what?
edit that. I want to leave it just like it is, and I don't care what they think.
I thought he had a stroke. It didn't sound like what he's saying.
I am looking for a new production crew for the Yes Way Jose program. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. And listen, we always like to have some fun. I think the thing for us is that today's been a day of when we do the episodes like this, we talk about our community partners. And so we got two great guests with us today. But I want to always do I would do really the grocery shopping thing that we've done in the past. But hey, we will ask, do we have an email address?
Yeah, we do. It's yeswayjosemail@gmail.com.
Oh, we nailed it again. That's so good. And we want people to know that we just want to hear back. We encourage people to listen to the podcast. We have a number of different guests that we have on there. But just listen. Just see if there's something you like. If there's something you want on our episodes, hey, let me know. We can put on it because I always do one of those, what I call sideways one, and it's Jose's time, and he just gets on there and talks for like 30 minutes. Well, I talk a lot anyway. But we want to make sure people understand that we want feedback because we want this podcast to grow as a venue to find out what's going on in our community. I think that's the piece that you guys were looking for,
right?
And we want to that's still our goal, right?
Yeah, right.
We haven't changed.
That is the goal.
We haven't moved the goal.
Hey, I think we're close to like 4,000 views now.
4,000 views.
We're getting there. Yeah.
See, I like that. Must be my crew. See,
that's what it is.
Look at that. So 100% double that pay.
It's the editing.
Double that pay. Eli, you're making like tons of money. You need to report your earnings to the IRS.
Yeah,
they got to get the tax money off of that. What is zero tax money out of zero?
No,
it's still zero.
Yeah,
it's still zero. All right.
I think we might actually get money back.
Oh yeah, and you know what? There's probably a program that you can
there
get.
Probably is. Yeah.
So in 2 minutes, we went from needing a production team to doubling the salary.
That's what we do here.
Yep.
But anyway, so good morning. I'm going to let these fine folks introduce themselves and their organization, and then we're going to talk about some good stuff. But good morning.
Good morning.
And you are? Well, one of you guys got to speak.
One of you guys got to talk.
All right. So
I was trying to.
He's being courteous.
Say chivalry's not dead.
See, chivalry's not dead. All right. So, and you are, ma'am?
So good morning. I'm Dawn Mudd.
All right, Dawn. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good to have you. And
I'm Mike Mudd.
All right. And so Mike and Dawn, I've known you guys for just a little bit here, but you have an organization and your ministries. Would you talk a little bit about that first?
We'd love to. So I don't know how far we'd like to go back.
Yeah, you go as far back as you want to, Mike.
All right. Well, we are Alpha Ministries, Reach, Rescue, and Restore, and our whole mission is to help people that the Lord puts in our path get from where they are to where the Lord wants them to be. The vision came actually a while back. My wife works for CASA.
And I'm well aware of that.
Yes, and so she would come home and, of course, just share her heart for the children that she's advocating in the courts for. About just the fact that there's abuse and neglect that honestly at the time I wasn't even aware of. Then when you do the of course it's open record, you can go look. It's just when you do the research of the abuse and neglect in Bullitt County, there's 400 and something cases of children that have literally been removed from their home of origin and placed in foster care, and all of the time it is as a result of drugs and or alcohol in the home at the root of the abuse and neglect. So I have been doing residential recovery, faith-based, for the past 8 years at another facility. And when she came home and was sharing her heart, and then the opportunity came open, and we had no idea how it was going to happen. A lot of people in the community aren't so supportive of what we were doing, understandably so. So going back to the beginning, I told her, I was like, if we're going to do this, I want to know that it's the Lord doing it and not me trying to impress upon something that I don't necessarily have control over, because it's way bigger than anything I could do alone. And she has a gifting. I don't want to get too far into sharing her own testimony without her. Maybe she can get into that. And I don't know how much time we have, but there was one night where we was kind of talking about it heavy, and I told her, I was like, whatever the Lord speaks to you in your dreams tonight, make sure you write it down and let me know when you wake up. So I wake up in the middle of the night and I see her on her phone. And
I do that often.
You do?
Yeah.
So she woke up and I knew that she was taking notes. I didn't want to interrupt her. Of course, I'm like, yes. So I turn over and try to go back to sleep. But when I get up, she's sharing, she's asking me what the significance of 428 is. And she was asking me that because she woke up at 428. And I'm not an uber spiritual person.
Sure.
Like the Lord speaks to me all the time as I walk throughout the day. But it was just amazing to me because when she said that, 428 popped out. And I know the scripture from Ephesians 4:28, and it says, "Let the thief who steals steal no more, but let him labor with his hands that which is good." So he has to give to those in need. And in my mind, I'm thinking, what better is that? Not the epitome of what drug and alcohol addiction looks like, and then being able to instill the Word of God in people that are burdened by these issues, and then watching them give back to people because it's part of my heart because I have my own personal experiences with that. So she was talking about that, and then she talked about the word alpha, which is the reason why we named our ministry Alpha Ministries. It's got several layers, but the main two, the first one we want to focus on is because sometimes the alpha gets a negative connotation. If you're an alpha male, that you're misogynistic, or but we're taking that from a different aspect. Like alpha males are males. They're just, if you look up the definition, you're just a leader. You're a leader wherever you go. You're not a follower, right? You're blazing trails. You're taking care of your family. You're taking care of business. And you're standing on that business. So Alpha Ministries was the name that the Lord gave my wife in that dream.
Yeah, we need more men that are leaders, that are fathers, that, and not just in our community, but everywhere. Yeah. So that had really stuck out to me as Alpha.
It's a great point. I want to add just a couple of things to what you've said. First of all, you're trying to make a difference. And we've mentioned a lot, and you'll hear me say this, problem solving, okay? Everybody can identify the problems, but I want to talk to people who want to do something about it.
Yes.
Okay, now, a lot of things that we talk about in our community don't have to be faith-based, but if it is faith-based, that's how I believe. You don't have to believe that, but what does have to matter is that we're actually going to get something done. Okay, so no matter what, whatever the organization is, I always tell people is if you want to make a difference, we're here to listen. We're here to make a difference with you. We're here to support you as a city, as the mayor of Shepherdsville. I am here to work with everybody who wants to help those in need. And those in need sometimes don't know how bad they need, how much they need to get from someone. And again, going back just a little bit to the CASA piece, understandably, 13 years there as the chair, Don, we know.
Yeah.
And the things, and again, going back to the alpha piece, that's the piece that's the male mentor.
Yes.
The having those folks involved to make sure that those things get done. And I think it's critical if you look at the blend of how you're going to build kind of somewhat of a family structure back, right? Because we see, in CASA, it was always purposeful to try to reunify the family, if at all possible, because we know that structure is a successful structure, right?
Yep.
We talk about that. So for you guys, you've now taken on this ministry. It's because of what you found out at 428.
Yeah.
All right, and taking the notes. Good job, Don. But I think
she's
that
a
you guys
dream journaler.
Yeah.
and listen, when you find it, what matters is what you do with it. And you guys have grabbed it and you're running with it.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to take it into the next conversation about the Trinity Life Church.
Yes.
I want you guys on this podcast to tell people about that project.
Sure.
I want to say, too, real quick, just for some people that don't know what CASA is, we're court-appointed special advocates, and we advocate for children that are abused and neglected. We need volunteers in our community. So just since we're using the word CASA, I want to make sure people know what that is.
Absolutely. You know, my running joke is it's not a Spanish word for house.
Right.
I used to do that all the time in the 13 years I was on it because obviously Jose and CASA, that's kind of, I do think people need to understand what that program is.
Yeah.
And so thank you for doing that. And again, I know you're always looking for volunteers. So if you listen to this podcast and you want to make a difference, reach out to CASA. And you'll find an opportunity here that's more valuable than anything you've had in life experiences because you'll see kids in need, and they just need to have somebody to give them guidance, to give them hope, give them value of life. So, and
let me just say real quick, going back to that point with the faith-based thing, I don't want anyone listening to think that Alpha Ministries, Reach, Rescue, and Restore, because we are unapologetically faith-based, that we are exclusive to anyone.
Right.
And what I mean by that is I've had Muslims in my care. I've had people from all different walks of life. And a lot of times I say, what is it that you know about the Word? What is it you know about, being faith-based when somebody comes in? And someone not knowing anything is a lot better than thinking they know something that is not working for them. So our faith-based piece isn't exclusive to only people that are in a certain denomination or go to a certain church. It's just letting you know, hey, when you come here, my personal experience as well as my biblical backing tells me that the issues that you're struggling with are those that are separating you from the Spirit of God. And our job is to try to build a foundation so that you can be reconnected spiritually with that, however you see fit. I'm not trying to raise up a bunch of pastors of a bunch of churches. Some people leave and don't even do anything except for be plugged into a church. We're just trying to help people understand that the foundation begins with your identity in Christ. And from that, wherever you go is up to you. You can't leave the foundation, obviously, but
sure.
So I just want to make sure that faith-based isn't excluding anyone, because that's not our
There
vision
are
at all.
facts and statistics though that show that when you have that faith-based aspect involved, you are more successful when you leave a program.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what we found out is our community is friendly like that. I mean, we just the demographics across the United States is different, but in our community of Bullitt County and specifically Shepherdsville, we have those folks that are like-minded, and it doesn't mean that doesn't exclude people, and we don't judge.
Right.
Okay, what we want is to get you help.
Right.
Yes.
And if you decide that people that are in these kind of organizations are faith-based, but they are just willing to be kind and help those in need, well, then guess what? We're off to a good start.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit more about the Trinity Life and that project. That's really something I'm really excited that you guys are doing.
Yeah, so 2 shout-outs I want to make real quick. First of all, our relationship with Stacy Sylvester in the REACH program.
Okay.
They are,
oh, yes.
They are awesome.
Yeah.
Stacy is like the best, and she has a relationship with her because she does some of her schooling work through the counseling that Stacy offers through REACH. So they're great partners. We actually just walked them around, because we walked around when we first opened to the community when we was in the meetings. So we just opened the doors the other day and let her and her whole team come in, and they're excited. They're literally doing cartwheels and can't wait for us to open so they can start helping with the peer support stuff. So shout out to her. But also Pastor James McFadden, his heart for this community of Shepherdsville is a lot like mine, a lot like a lot of people's, as far as wanting to be the hands and feet of Jesus Christ and helping our neighbor. And in that, he started doing a Sunday night service, which is where all this began after my wife's dream, and then the Ephesians 4:28 and Alpha Ministries. We had, during that time, begun going to these Sunday night services. And he has 9,000 square feet on his campus there at Trinity Life Center.
Wow. I know it's a lot. I've actually been to the facility. It's really very outstanding.
Well, and every person that we talk to that comes in talks about how much bigger and nicer the facility is than what they were envisioning before they came. So, but he opened up the possibility of us being able to partner with him and use those 9,000 square feet that are there on his campus for Alpha Ministries. So
that's outstanding. And I think that people need to understand what this is. We talked about a transitional home, but I think let's peel that back just a little bit so people understand, because people listening to this might have a family member or a friend that might need these services, right?
Yes.
So maybe they'll hear it on this as an opportunity to see, hey, maybe I listened to this podcast and there's a ministry out there that's actually doing things like this. Well, let me go call. We go find out. So we'll make sure. And first of all, let's finish up. But remind me before we get done, we get their email address so people actually know how to reach out to you guys for this program as well. But talk about the transitional home.
So what we've set up is a 6 to 12 month program. So men come in off the streets, and within the 24 hours that they're there, we have already done their intake, their background. We're not just taking people off the streets to get them a warm place to stay, because I know in recovery a lot of times that happens. We are specialized in focusing on people who want help, because that's the only way you can help someone in recovery is when they want the help as bad as you want them to have the help. It doesn't work if mom calls and say, hey, my son's sleeping on the couch and he's an addict and I want to get him help and we're going to force him to come to you. That never works out. So what we do is we do a stringent intake process, and then within the first 24 hours, we as a family, because we know the importance of the fact that if a man is in recovery, his recovery is affecting 7 to 10 people around him, especially the immediate family that live in the household where he's coming from. So my wife specializes in marriage and family counseling, as well as having counseling degree. So she's actively seeking to help the families of the men that are coming into the recovery center. So if a man has a bad day and we see in the morning that he's not having a good day when he comes in through that process, and I'm thinking, well, he may reach out to his family to try to manipulate them to get them back home. Her job will be able to reach out to the family and be, hey, so-and-so's not having a really good day, and they're probably going to be calling you soon. I need you to be on our team and let them know that coming home is not an option. They need to stay to get the help they needed. So
I want to make sure we add to because the guidelines, because a lot of times people have perceptions of programs, right? They need to understand what you're saying is we want to help people want a hand up,
Yes.
not a hand out.
That's right.
Hand out just keeps you where you're going, and maybe even drop off.
Right.
We need people to understand your program is for people who are serious, because there are guidelines.
Yeah.
You've got strict guidelines, and
Yes.
and if you don't, you can't stay.
Right.
And we want people to know that there are people like you willing to give your time and love to help these folks, but you got to follow the rules.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to want help.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just staying at a plateau. Like, we're going to have a room that's an educational room. It's going to be full of computers. If they want to get their GED while they're there.
That's outstanding.
College classes.
I mean, listen, we talk a lot about family structure and education. If you have those two things, you're set up for pretty good success in life. I think the numbers are like 95%. If your structure of family's good and your education, that keeps you out of it. So we have a part of our community. And in this community, we're talking about Shepherdsville and Bullock County. We have to go identify those folks, but they've got to want the help, but they can get it.
Yes.
And once they feel like they got a support team, it really does change the dynamics. And sometimes we think, oh, it's got to be family. It's not always family.
Right.
And sometimes you're friends with the bad influences.
Right.
Sometimes you need sometimes you need outside influences of people that just want to give you love.
Yep.
And sometimes it's tough love.
Sometimes people at this point in their life, they've lost hope
Yeah.
because I've lost everything. I've lost my family most of the time, so they feel hopeless. So when they come to a place like what we're going to have, we're restoring hope. And we're showing them that you still have a way of getting some help that you need,
Yep.
being a better member of society.
Yep.
We're also going to help people that are food insecure, and we use the men in the program to do that. It's their way of giving back.
Yep. As you mentioned.
Right.
420. And I think for us, I think what we need to do is, as elected officials, is working with our businesses to set folks up for job opportunities. Well, again, we've mentioned on different podcasts, hey, you don't have to go through a 4-year degree. Okay, how about an electrician? How about a plumber,
Yes.
welder? They make good money, and you can support a family by that. Because I think in the alpha set, right, a man wants to provide,
Right.
and if he's got that job security, right, then that becomes his self-value.
Yeah.
And it is innately in all of us as men, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you have
so-
to have self-value.
Yeah.
You have to do that. Otherwise, you turn to things like drugs or alcohol or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We talk about young men and women killing each other across this country because they have no value of life.
Right.
Okay. And so we have to decide in our community, we'd love to solve all the nation's problems, but we don't do that. It's most of the things that happen that actually generate from the ground up start in local communities. And I want Shepherdsville not only to have the kind of things that we're going to be building here, aquatic center, write that down.
Okay.
I have to mention the aquatic center every episode
It's in his
because we're so
contract.
excited about things like that. But I'll tell you, when you think about that piece, here's the one other piece, that playgrounds and all the things that we got that are going to be out in our community. Those things help families do things together, right, in this community. If we have services like that here, then you're not trying to go 30 minutes away. I'm not going to Louisville. I'm not
Right.
going to E-Town. We're not going to do anything. Well, if the park is 5 minutes away and your kids can go out there and you can spend some quality time out there, just places to have picnics and have those family structure, that's going to solidify more. Because you know what, then you've got that love of a family.
Right.
And then you have a reason more, like going back to what Travis said about value. And so I think that what you're doing is you're offering something. You got to want it, though. I want it to be really clearly known. You have got to want it. But if you
Yes.
want it, then we can help you get it.
Right.
But I think the job opportunity piece for us as a city is the piece that we want to work on. We really want to make sure that when you come out, let's see if we can't have our business, because businesses are looking for folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Everybody's
it's
got
a supply chain shortage of people.
Yes.
So
a supply chain shortage of people. Yeah,
Well,
that's a good way to put it.
We are hoping to partner with local businesses that have a heart for people that need second chances. All over the city is being able to provide transportation from the recovery center to job opportunities to help these men get from where they are to where they need to be.
So we're going to be working. Our focus will be, for me and Courtney, my economic advisor, we're going to be working on these businesses to know that, hey, we can be a part of that. We can be a liaison. We'll be we'll be help you find folks that want to get back into the workplace. And we have to work on second chances.
Yes. Yep.
We can't be we can't discard people. We have to give them, because if they feel like they got an opportunity to come back into this world, because you see these stories, we've heard these stories, and that's the kind of story we like to have. It's not a zero-sum game.
Right.
We're going to be challenged every day of our lives, but one person at a time.
And
one person.
I think the businesses can feel comfortable with utilizing people that we're going to be helping because one of the guidelines is they have to be in the program for 3 months before they're even eligible to go out and get employment. So, that adds that extra layer of, I guess, comfort to the businesses that are willing to, to allow that second chance.
Well, I think we let the businesses come see what you do.
Absolutely.
I think so too.
I think that's a
good
great
idea.
place for them to start as far as seeing the program as it is set up.
Yes.
And I think that they'll feel comfortable because, again, we have too many times that we just shun people away after they've done something wrong.
Yeah,
and we've all made mistakes in our lives,
Yeah.
I know when I used to work at Wendy's back in the day, and our general manager at the time, she used to hire a lot of people. I guess it was from 7 counties or whatever it was, whatever the drug program was, and those people, a lot of them, I mean, they were. You'd have the problems where every once in a while one would get back on whatever. And, that's going to happen. But for the most part, like these people were trying to turn their lives around, and they were some of the best employees that we had there. Some of them ended up becoming managers by the time I, time I left.
I think we have a great opportunity there, and I think once we see that happens, and the other piece is the affordable housing piece. And when we say affordable, that's a really just a bad term, or it has been in the years past. But we have to be sensible what we're trying to offer folks and where they can actually live, right? Because, again, if they're in a situation where they're trying to reunite with their family, again, there's a total cost in doing that. Now, if you're on your own and you kind of get through, it's a little bit easier. But if you're stepping back up and want to be part of that family again and be that provider, we've got to find something that works for you and your family that you can live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what that is,
that's another thing is how much prices have went up, especially on like housing and stuff like that. It's driven a lot of people to despair and drugs and alcohol and things like that.
Yes, it has.
So with that, we've got to keep working on. And I think the hardest part of that is not the one thing we talked about before is lifestyle skills, teaching kids lifestyle skills. People can't manage a budget.
Yeah.
And then they get behind, they lose their car, they lose their job, and it's just a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
They're just rolling down the hill backwards, right?
Yeah.
So we have to find ways to teach kids now how to budget. What's important? Pay your bills first, and then if you have a little bit of money, maybe you get something to eat out dinner, instead of just cooking something at home, right? You got to figure that piece out, and we live in a very materialistic world.
Yeah. They're always trying to sell you something.
And because of that, well, just the cell phones alone, right?
Yep.
Let's think about that piece. So, again, I think there's a lot of things. I think with people in your program, and I know you got a number of things you're going to be teaching. I love the idea that they can get their education classes, a GED, or maybe some college classes, but just budgeting, teaching them finances and teaching them the things that you have to do every day. But, there's a discipline, and we've all got to have it. And I think when we see people that are struggling, that discipline has to come into place, or they'll go back to where they were, because they'll resort back to comfortableness. And comfortableness isn't good, right?
Or what they know. Even if it's not comfortable, it's just what you know.
Yeah. And so I think once you guys, and when are you officially starting the program?
Well, and I want to talk a little bit about that because we had shot for January 1st. Now, our agreement with Pastor James doesn't actually start until March, but if we get things in order and able to open sooner, we absolutely plan on doing that. Our heart is open yesterday.
Sure.
As far as that's concerned, but we do want to make sure that we're providing what we offer is a safe, sober, and sacred environment. So we want to make sure that the environment that we're trying to cultivate is conducive to what we're trying to do with these men as far as getting them from where they are when we meet them to where they are when they graduate. So
the progress is exciting, though, where we've started actually seeing things being updated. We've put in 5 showers.
Oh, wow.
So like watching that, we've had 20 beds delivered and they've already been put up. So like seeing that progress is very exciting. So of course we would still love to have a January 1 open date.
Sure.
I think that's probably a little not realistic.
That's okay.
But we've talked about maybe a soft open, maybe just having a few at first.
Yeah,
and then progressing.
I think there's something said about that. Just taking slow steps to get it where you want to get it, because obviously you want to make sure this is lives we're talking about.
Yes,
it's not like we're talking about materials,
right?
And so you want to make sure that if that's a slow opening and that works for you. I just want to make sure that everybody understands. There are all kinds of people saying, "Yeah, this is an issue," but you guys stepped up.
Yeah,
right. You're stepping up, doing something I think is going to be good for this community. So I think Alpha Ministries needs to make sure if you want to be part of that, or if you want to make sure any difference you want to make, again, we're talking about businesses and our relationships. We'll find the ways to make it work. You're talking about food security. We'll work on that piece as well.
Yep.
But we can all be a part of that. The city has to be involved in kind of an indirect way. We can work on the business aspect as far as the job opportunities and really making sure that your program is really it's out there and people know about it. We've got a great community planner. Well, anything that you guys are doing, events you're doing it to let people know, we will make sure that relationship's there because we want problem solvers. And I think that's what you guys are doing. So I think that the biggest thing, once you get started, and obviously it's a learning process, right? But you already have experience. You've been doing this for what, 6, 7 years?
8 years, yeah.
8 years, 8 years.
Yeah.
And I know where you're at as far as what you know and what you see. So you've seen the battlefield.
Yeah.
You see what it looks like. You've seen what we're dealing with as far as, and I think the reunification piece of CASA is a piece that kind of fits what you're doing, because when you talk about the male aspect of it in the mentoring program with CASA or anything else, it's always a lot more of the dominant of women being involved, the nurturing piece, but men need to be a part of that. And how we get them back into that ball game is important in this community, because remember, our community is based on the least, making sure we take care of the least in our community, those that need the most help. If we have services like that, because we're going to see people on the street, hey, how are you doing today? And when we talk to them, do you want help? Yes. Well, we have some folks that you can talk to about getting into a program that may get you back on your feet, even if you're not from here, right?
Yeah.
Because we do have some transit with the interstate. We do have those things that happen, and people get land in different places. But sometimes that landing could be a great place to be. It could be because you're here in Shepherd's, or we have an organization like you guys to do things with them. So I think that's the hardest part for people to understand. We are going to have some of these issues in our community, okay? But we're going to fix them.
Right.
We're going to do everything we can. We may not get down to zero, but what we will is every day we want to have one victory.
Yes.
And one victory means that somebody's back reunited with his family and getting back and being productive in the community, and really just having the value.
Yep.
Right? Because that life values.
I mean, it's literally saving lives.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is.
it
is what you're doing.
really
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
And from the beginning, we've been open and transparent because of the negative connotation that goes along with drug addiction and alcoholism, to have our doors open to let people see and be a part of the process of us acquiring the facility. And then, like she said, the excitement that we're building with all the work that's being done, and any businesses, anybody from the community that wants to come and be a part of it, to look and see with their own eyes what we're doing instead of just hearing us talk about it. We're always willing to set up appointments where you can come through and walk through.
Yeah, we encourage that. We're located at 964 Highway 44 West. They can call, text, email. We do have Facebook, Alpha Ministries, Reach, Rescue, and Restore. Come any businesses, any individuals, we're open for tours, even though we're not ready to be open.
Sure.
They can come and see what we're doing.
I think that's a good part. Once they see it, and then once the program gets started, to have people continue to see what you're doing, you're going to keep growing this program. And again, we know it's out there. And then when we have those victories and people are back into the community, it's going to continue. People are going to know about it. And really, until you're touched by drugs and alcohol, I'm telling you, I have learned really quick that it is really important for people to understand is you don't know till you know.
Yeah, just about everybody today has somebody in their
family.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
it's become
I've seen
such
it in my
a big
family.
problem.
I've seen it in my family with my dad, and I think that's a hard part. And, I was younger, and today I think more and reflect of, could there have been something different done back then? It's kind of what you see, generational things that happen too.
Oh, yeah.
So this community, as we have all these wonderful things we're working on, I think what you are doing is more important than anything we can construct, right? As far as the things that we're building here, because we want to build the community first, and it comes with your program. So I want to tell you, first of all, thank you, Alpha Ministries, Don, Mike. I really appreciate what you're doing. I think it's going to be a very, very big thing that you make an impact in this community. And I think the more people know about it and just come to see what you do, your hearts are big. Your hearts are big.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a big thing for us. So I don't really know anything you want to add. You got an email address?
We do. It's info@am3r.org.
All right, what was it one more time?
info@am3r.org.
All right.
And I'll put that
And
in the show
I
notes.
want to leave us on a to be continued.
Oh, absolutely.
So another part of that alpha that we want to do. So our generation that is up and coming is the alpha generation.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So that is another piece that is a future piece that we want to add. We want to add a mentorship program to that alpha generation.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. And we're going to have you guys back.
Reach before rescue. Reach the generation before you have to rescue them.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's wonderful. God bless you both.
Thank you.
And listen, this podcast is going to be after the holidays. I want to make sure, I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas. and with your families. And we're going to make some new families here, right? We're going to keep working on that. So God bless you both. Thank you so much for being here today. And we have one thing we make every guest do.
I'm not singing.
Well, no. Me and you are not singing, Mike.
Me either.
No. Oh, I thought Don was going to do a little singing thing.
Special.
You don't want me to do that.
Yeah, you don't want me to do that. I mean, this could be the end of the podcast. I start singing. But anyway, so everybody that I'm around, I'm always, when I say goodbye, 1, 2, 3, we say love, peace, chicken grease. And so I make everybody do it. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, love, peace, chicken grease. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
1, 2, 3.
Love, peace, chicken grease.
Thank you all for being here at Alpha Ministries.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
All right.